Optimizing in a nutshell is bulk assigning rooms to sections within a term and a specific campus. Before you optimize, you will want to check two places to make sure that your data is up to date before going into the actual sandbox to start making room assignments. The first place is to check your scheduling preferences. Scheduling preferences are the rules that the optimizer uses to know where to put sections into what rooms. You'll click on the Academics tab and the Scheduling Preferences link under the Admin section in order to be able to find the list of scheduling preferences. As you can see, they're all labeled here by campus, and that is best practice so that you know which one is your campus that you're working on. You can click into a scheduling preference set to view the preferences that have already been created. You can always add a new rule here at the top by clicking Add Rule, or you can edit an existing rule by clicking the Edit pencil. The other place that you will want to check before running the optimizer is your optimizable rooms region. You'll click on the Settings tab and click on Rooms. From this list, in your filter panel, you will open up your region. I'm going to stick with NE here. Scroll down here and I'll find NE optimizable rooms. Click Done and then click Search. And now I can see I have a list of 144 rooms that I will want to make sure are up to date. I'll want to make sure the room type is up to date and the capacity is up to date so that I know what size rooms are going to be available for your certain sizes of sections. Once your scheduling preferences and your room list looks up to date, you can start running the optimizer. To do that, you'll click on Academics and then Scheduling Sandboxes. It's called a sandbox because you can run it multiple times, and if you mess something up or if you don't like the results, it's okay. You don't have to publish it. You can actually just delete that sandbox run and run it again. Publishing is actually the act of pushing it over into the section list, so then you can then export back to the student information system. But to create a new optimization run, you'll click on New and Room Optimization. The naming convention can be what you want it to be based off of what you're running. If you're running a certain subject, if you're running a certain term, those are the things you should absolutely put in here. And it's very important that you put in your campus as well so that you're able to come back in and find what you are running. For example, if you're running the NE biology classes for fall 2020, that would be a great title so you can easily come back and find this sandbox run to see what was scheduled. You'll select your term. And you'll select your preference set. If you already have rooms assigned from the SIS that you would like to keep, and you have some sections that don't have room assignments that you're looking to optimize, you can check the Keep Existing Room Assignments box. If you have some rooms already scheduled that you don't want to keep, you want the optimizer to find completely new spaces, you would uncheck this and it would ignore the room assignments that have already been created and look for new room assignments based off of your preference set and the size of the space. In your room filters, this is where you want to add that region. The NE optimizable rooms region is here. And this means that when I am assigning biology classes for fall 2020, they are only allowed to be assigned into the NE optimizable rooms region. Very important, you want to select your campus to make sure you're just optimizing sections on your campus. I'll select NE here. And then within your subjects, you can come in and select whichever subject you want to run. For example, I can select biology here. And you can even get down to saying you only want to select and run biology labs. If you only want to run the LA ones, you can do that here as well. In our priorities and settings, you do have some percentage options here where you can say if you think seat fill or preferences are more important. Preferences being the rules in the scheduling preferences. Seat fill being the size of the space and how much the section fills up the space. As I can see, a lot of you are running this with low seat fill percentage because you have very specific preferences. This scoring balance is a little bit out of date and not needed, so you really don't need to make any changes to these, and you can let it run on the algorithm as it automatically does with the 50-50 and the all 20s here in the preference weighting. However, with the preference weighting, if you do have some more open preferences based off of I just need it to go into a specific building or maybe with a specific room type, you can say whether the building or the room type is more important if the optimizer comes up against 2 room options or 2 sections trying to go into a particular room. I would say most of our clients keep these the same though, so you are happy, totally fine to keep these if you're happy to keep them the same way. You can go ahead and change your minimum seat fill percentage. I can see many optimizer runs in the past have been run low because you have specific preferences, which is fine. And then you can choose to pre-process back-to-back instructors. This is where you're saying if you have an instructor that's teaching a 9 to 9:50 and then a 10 to 10:50, rather than having them run across campus, you can require that they stay in the same building. And all you have to do is put in the correct back-to-back interval here. For Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and Tuesday, Thursday classes, if you have different back-to-back intervals, as long as you put the largest, it will encompass anything in between that. Once you've filled out all of your preferences here, all you have to do is click Save, and Save means Run. I'm going to cancel out of this one for now. And we're going to click into a run that's already happened. Let's say the Math Round 4 NE for 2020 Fall, and we'll talk about the Results tab. At the top, we'll have our statistics of what you were able to schedule, what were bottlenecked, and what were infeasible. Scheduled are, of course, the ones that were able to find a room. Most of our sections that ran in this run were able to find room assignments. You have your subject, course, and section column here, and it's very common for the room column over here on the right-hand side to be picked up and dragged over here in order to be able to see your room assignments. You can even pick up the instructor and move them over as well so that you can see who was assigned where. Bottleneck sections are sections that were, we can see this one's already been resolved, so it's already moved over into the scheduled meetings. But bottleneck sections are sections that found a room that was the right size, it fit the preferences, but something else was already in that space. If you need to find a different room for it, you can always click the edit pencil, which pulls up the section record. And this would be available to you in the bottleneck sections tab as well. The last tab we have is infeasible. And this one's most common when it comes to seat fill percentage. Let's say you were running a high seat fill percentage, maybe an 80% seat fill, and you had a 100-person classroom. You could only put an 80 to 100-person class in that room with that 80% seat fill minimum because you have to at least fill up the room 80%. Because you're running at low seat fill percentage, such as a 5 or a 10 minimum seat fill percentage, the optimizer is pretty much allowed to use any room within those preferences in that region that you select, which is why we don't see very many infeasibles here. However, if you do see them, if you do want to run at a higher seat fill percentage, you can often run the optimizer at a lower seat fill percentage in order to be able to find a room assignment, or you can use that edit pencil to go in and assign a room. You can always export your scheduled meetings if you would like to send them to somebody before they actually get published to go back into your SIS. And you can click the export button here to export to Excel, just like a section list page. If you have more questions on the optimizer or want to know even more information on it, we have lots of information in our support center, which you can click the question mark and then click help in order to be able to get to that page. We have definitions of every single one of your terminology that you'll see here, such as bottlenecks and infeasibles. And we have other information such as the optimization cycle and some articles with best practices there as well.